Hello everyone, Tom Simmons here with the next installment in our marketing class. And in the previous videos, we've been spending a lot of time looking at consumer buying behavior and in research and in determining who our target market or target markets are. We are now going to enter a phase where we're going to start looking at the tools that we have available to us in order to convey the value of our product to those customers. We often refer to this as the marketing mix, or in shorthand, the 4 Ps. The product, the place, the price, and the promotion, all of which should work together in a very coherent fashion to convey a consistent message of value to our potential customers. Now, today's video is going to focus on the product alone. And a lot of people may think, well, that's simple. My product is I make candles. My product is our factory makes plasticware for picnics. It actually goes much more beyond that. And of course, the product that you're offering can be a good, like this pad that I'm using right now. It can be a service, such as a lawn service or tree removal. Or it can be an idea, such as you've got a great concept that you can patent and then sell to someone else. But when we talk about our product, it could be any of these 3 kinds of things. Let's focus, it'll be easier to focus, I think, on things, on goods. And when we offer a product, there's really 3 different attributes to that product. The first is the core product itself. I'm offering, as I said before, I'm offering candles. That is the core product. Or plasticware. That is the core product. But part of the product is also what we call the supplemental products, or the supplemental attributes that go with that. Does your product offer a guarantee? Does it come with customer service? Does it come with delivery? Are there interchangeable parts that you can also use or add to the product that you're purchasing? Is there a telephone line for help with instructions? All of that is part of the product itself. It's not just here, buy this and go away. There are supplemental attributes that are associated with the product. And then there's also a symbolic or experiential aspect to the product. I'll give you 2 really good examples of that. For months, there have been woolen mittens offered for sale at almost any store that offers any type of clothing whatsoever. And yet, recently, when Bernie Sanders was at the inauguration of Joe Biden, those famous mittens that he was wearing outside went completely viral. And the person who made those mittens received non-stop calls of people, I want to purchase that, I want to purchase that, I want to purchase that. Well, you know what? You could have purchased mittens any day, anywhere, made of wool with nice patterns on them. But the fact that Bernie meme went viral, people all of a sudden wanted mittens. That was kind of a symbolic or experiential attribute to a product that made it different than all those other mittens in any other store that they could have purchased. Another one might be, a lot of people will go to a farmer's market in the summer. Now, you might be able to buy the same farmer's goods at that farm or in a local store, but the experience of going to the farmer's market adds to the value of the whole product. And you might even be willing to pay more for the same exact product at that farmer's market. So your product is more than just the core product. It's the supplements that go with it, and it's the experience or the symbolism that the consumer experiences through the purchase of that good. So think wider in terms of what your product is. Now, we also divide products into a couple of different categories. And we do this because the consumer's needs are a little different in all of them. For instance, there are convenience items. You're at the store and you say, oh, I want to grab some candy bars, or I want to grab some popcorn. And not a whole heck of a lot of thought and angst goes into that decision. It's an impulse item. It's a convenience item. That means the packaging and the information and the placement on that product is going to be absolutely key in effectuating a sale. The brand name and the familiarity of the consumer with that brand is going to be key in their buying that item. That's a convenience item. Then there's what we call shopping items. And these are items that people will spend a little more time comparing and looking at the goods. This could be shoes, it could be pots or pans for the kitchen, and this consumer is going to need more information. The product is going to have to be framed as different than other products in order to successfully sell it. Supplemental product attributes could really help with this. If there's a money-back guarantee or more information available to them somehow. A third type of product is what we call a specialty product. And these products you buy very infrequently and they're very high ticket. So if I'm going to buy a boat, that's going to count as a specialty item. This type of item is going to require, the core product alone is great. This is going to require a heavy amount of supplemental attributes to this product. The salesperson you're dealing with, the guarantees they offer, the service they offer. If you're buying it at a marina, are they going to offer you dock space at that marina at a discounted price? Are you comfortable with the mechanics who are there? Do they pull the boat out in the winter and do a full workover on it? So those attributes become very, very important. And then there are what we call the unsought products. You're not looking to buy this product. You have to run out and get it. The faucet breaks on your sink. I got to go out and get a new faucet. So you're running to the first place you think, maybe the hardware store. In this case, you're going to buy, and you need a maximum amount of information in as brief a period as possible to make that decision. And in this case, the information provided on the packaging. What does this fit? What sink brands does this work with? What tools do you need? If it needs screws or hardware, is it included? All of that information at the point of sale is going to add to the ability of the consumer to say, that's what I gotta buy right now. So, having said all that, let's talk about product line and product mix. And students often get confused with this, but marketers will use this term a lot as they're developing their campaigns. The product mix is the complete basket of goods that a company is going to offer to the public. So for instance, you've probably heard of Columbia Sportswear. Columbia Sportswear's product mix includes any number of things. It includes men's clothing, women's clothing, shirts. It also includes fishing vests. It includes backpacks. It includes coolers. It includes sunglasses. It includes shoes. So all of those different products, and those products are all used differently. You don't use a shoe for the same purpose that you're using a pair of sunglasses. That's the mix, is the complete breadth of products being offered. A product line are all of the products that serve the same general purpose. So within Columbia Sportswear, they have a line of sunglasses. They actually offer, as of today, they offer 4 different types of sunglasses based on whether you need sunglasses that will do well when you're out on the water or in the snow, or there's one pair of sunglasses that is particularly good for when there's a smoky campfire. So that's the product line, is all of our sunglasses. But our product mix is everything that we offer. And the differentiation here is important because we're going to come back to this when we talk about branding strategies for everything within our mix, our product mix. So, all products have what's called a life cycle, a product life cycle. We can't expect that we're going to offer a product, it's going to automatically take off and sell really well, and that's the end of the story, right? We saw that when we looked at Kodak cameras and cameras that use film. So the 4 stages of this life cycle are: first, the introduction. In the introductory period, your company has to understand that they are trying to break into a market. It's when you're first launching this product. You're going to spend a lot of funds on promotion, on salespeople meeting with retail stores or wholesalers and convincing them to carry it, on getting information out to the consumer. Here's this new thing, and here's the information you need to know about it. You will not make money in the introduction. You will lose money in the introduction. You're just entering the market. And when you're launching a new product, that's something the company needs to be committed to in order for this to work. The second stage is the growth stage. And this is where you finally see what you've been hoping would happen. You begin to sell more and more. Your sales are increasing. More stores are asking to carry your good. You're making a profit. You've actually turned the corner. People are becoming aware of your product and aware of your brand. And this is the happy stage. The third stage is the maturity stage. Your sales are constant, but they're not increasing anymore. There will be other companies trying to compete against you because they see that this has been successful and people are purchasing it. But you actually, you may not be making much of a profit anymore. Your profits are going to become squeezed because those sales are simply not increasing. It's a mature product. And then at the end, the fourth stage is what we call decline. And that's where you're actually losing sales. It may be that technology has advanced to the point where your good is no longer desired by the public. It could be that competitors have found the weaknesses in your product and they've exploited it, and consumers are now choosing another brand. In fact, consumers are very much aware of who your competitors are. In the decline stage, you got one of two decisions to make. You're either going to reposition that product, you're going to do something different, relaunch it, try and create a new vision for this product, new uses for the product, maybe new markets for the product. Maybe it's declining in the United States, but it's never been introduced in Europe. So you're either going to reposition and relaunch this product, or you're going to eliminate it from your product line, either the whole line or eliminate it from your mix. Now, you might ask, well, how long is each stage of introduction, growth, maturity, and decline? How long will it take me to see this? Who knows? Some products are very quick. They're a flash in the pan and they're gone. Some last for 100 years or more. This is why environmental scanning, which we spoke about earlier, is going to be important. It's not just a gut feeling. You need to look at the numbers and where are the sales and what is the competition and what technology is changing. How are people's social and cultural ideas changing in a way that might affect the future sales of your product. So, how you convey all this information during your launch, during your growth, during a relaunch if you're in decline, is through the branding process. I cannot overemphasize how important the branding process is. And that's not just me talking. Brands are trademarked. They're copyrighted. They're registered with the government. And if someone violates that, there are heavy, heavy financial penalties involved, because your brand value is a critical part of your business. The brand is a way to inform consumers in an instant what your product is all about. We have all this information about, we can talk about, forever, about your core product and the supplemental attributes and the experiential attributes and the value it conveys and the goodness of your company and its social responsibility. We can talk about that on and on and on. What the customer sees is a recognizable brand, a recognizable logo, and they instantly, all of that information, if you've done your branding correctly, all that information reveals itself to them. You know immediately when you see those golden arches coming down the highway, you know what that store is, what the name of it is, what they offer for sale, what the general prices are, what the quality is, how long it's going to take you to get in and out. It's immediate. Golden Arches does that. Colonel Sanders does that. Burger King arguably has done an awful job with that, and they've tried to remake the Burger King many times, and it seems to be a flop each time. But that brand image is critical. Now, in the supermarket, I'll go buy things in the supermarket from time to time. There's a pasta brand, Barilla. I really didn't know anything about it. It was just the name Barilla on a blue box. Didn't convey any information to me. Hadn't done a really good branding on this. Except there were some widespread news reports that the CEO of Barilla took a political stance that really ticked me off. The bad news for them is that I now have an image of Barilla pasta and something negative. Brands are very hard to create. They are very easy to destroy. When done right, you can create a great sense of brand loyalty, and that means customers are coming back to you. And there's three different levels of brand loyalty. All three are good, but the more you can get, the better. The first level is simply brand recognition. Oh, I recognize that brand. So if I'm going into the store, it's a shopping experience, and there's a number of different brands, and I recognize that one, I'm not sure about these others. That helps effectuate the sale. The second level is brand preference, where you actually go down the aisle and you're looking for a specific brand. You've used it before, you're comfortable with it, it's good quality, you're happy with it. In a really nice way, I just experienced this the other day. We sell our eggs through our local general store, and we have a very consistent branding image. Our farm is Dungeon Dragon Farm. Everything we make has got that dragon on it. And I went over to the egg case to see if our eggs had sold out or not. And there was another woman, a consumer, who was looking through the eggs. She didn't know who I was, and she's looking all around and lifting eggs up, and she turned and said to me, "Do you see any of those dragon eggs?" Which I thought was wonderful. Now, we don't call them dragon eggs. We're just Dungeon Dragon Farms, and these are our organic, free-range, local eggs. But the branding made an impression on her, and she was referring to them as the dragon eggs, which is another important point here on your branding. As much as you try and control your messaging, it's not completely within your control, because the consumer is going to, in their mind, create a connection between what they're thinking and this brand. She didn't remember the name Dungeon Dragon Farm, at least I don't think, but she remembered the dragon and the eggs, and now they were dragon eggs. So that is something I may have to exploit in the future. So that's brand preference, because she came in looking for that particular brand. At the end, at the highest level of brand loyalty, is brand insistence. When you say to someone, do me a favor, go to the store, we're out of cereal, get me Honey Nut Cheerios. If they don't have Honey Nut Cheerios, don't get me anything. It's either that or nothing. And a lot of people are this way with personal care products, very often with pet products. I want this or nothing else. We'll get it somewhere else. So that brand, again, is not only conveying information to the consumer, but once that information has been conveyed and they're a satisfied customer, it is now creating a loyalty to encourage them to come back again and again and again. Now, very often, one company will use different types of branding for different product lines within their product mix. I told you we'd come back to this. And I'll give you an example of that. You've probably all heard of Campbell Soup, right? Campbell Soup has a line, a product line. It's what made them famous, of soups. Tomato soup, chicken noodle soup, minestrone soup. And they use a particular logo, and it says Campbell's, and it's very recognizable, and it's usually red and white, because their cans historically were red and white. But they have other products in their product mix, unrelated to soup. One of their product lines is Cape Cod potato chips, which may be a surprise. Cape Cod potato chips was actually founded as an independent business in Hyannis, Massachusetts, but it's since been sold and is now owned by Campbell Soup. Well, Campbell's decided, and I think it was a wise decision, that their potato chip product line, which includes Cape Cod potato chips, waffle potato chips, salt and vinegar potato chips, someday I hope they bring back their Gouda potato chips. That was a one-time thing and they haven't brought it back. That entire line is a different brand, and that's the Cape Cod brand. And they keep them very separate. Another company they own is Pepperidge Farm. And Pepperidge Farm has a well-known logo, a well-known brand to consumers of Pepperidge Farm products. They've decided to keep that as a separate brand. So one company may have multiple brands because those brand images convey so much information to the consumer that it wouldn't make sense to upend that brand and start all over. It's working. There's brand value there, so you leave it. Now, on the flip side of that is very often a company will have a really good, solid brand, and they will do something called brand extension. They will come up with a new product, totally different product, and use that brand to try and promote that product because consumers already have a familiarity with the brand in their mind. Sometimes this works, and sometimes this is a total disaster. I'll give you an example of one of the worst disasters. Some of you may be familiar with Zippo lighters, right? Metal lighters, small, flat. You fill them with butane lighter fluid, usually from Ronco, to light cigarettes or pipes or whatever. Well, a number of years ago, Zippo decided that since their brand was so strong, and people thought Zippo immediately when they thought of lighters, that they would produce a new product. They used the same packaging as their lighter cases. They called it Zippo. They used the Zippo brand. And what were they marketing? Perfume. Whoever came up with this idea probably did not have a job for long after this was launched because it was a complete flop. In people's mind, Zippo was lighters and lighter fluid. Who wants to put on perfume that smells like lighter fluid? Now, the perfume didn't, but that brand image was so ingrained in people's mind that was just a total flop. A similar one was Dr. Pepper, the soda, Dr. Pepper, when they came out with a steak sauce. Just simply did not work because people didn't think soda and steak sauce were anything compatible. So, having said that, you can see why packaging is so critical. The packaging of the product is going to be one of the primary vehicles for conveying brand familiarity with the consumer. So let's talk a little bit about packaging. You've got a couple of different reasons for your packaging, and a couple different things to think about. First is you want to protect your product, right? You want to make sure that your product is protected from the elements, from shoplifting. The second thing it's got to do is it's got to be convenient to the customer, and it's got to be convenient to the retailer. Good example of something that's simply done, in a standard way. Tuna fish cans. Well, maybe you want to go into competition with an existing tuna fish company or a cat food company, and you just think, okay, well, we'll put it in metal tins. Well, you're just not going to put it in metal tins. If you look at your tuna fish cans carefully, they fit together. And they fit together for a reason. It's convenient for the retailer to put out on the shelf. It's convenient for the consumer to put on their home shelves. Sometimes marketers don't think about this convenience aspect. Years ago, I ran a bookstore. I ran a chain of bookstores, and a very popular book came out called the Hacky Sack book. Now, you're probably familiar with hacky sacks. If not, it's a little fabric ball that people kick around. And it came with a book, a paperback book with a spiral binding, and then attached to the upper corner of the book was a red net bag, the kind you see onions come in, with these balls in them. It was a disaster from a retailer's convenience perspective. You couldn't put them on a bookshelf because they would fall over. There was nothing solid to them. You couldn't stack them on top of one another on a table because the spiral binding was getting caught up with the nets of the bags above it and below it. The nets were so easily rippable that people were able to shoplift the balls right out of the bag. It was really a disaster. There was no way to effectively promote these things within a retail store except to say, we've got them, ask for it. And they'd be hidden away or separated someplace where they couldn't get all tangled up. So that's an example of a really poor packaging decision when it comes to the convenience of retailers and customers. You needed to protect that product. You need to be convenient for the store and for the shipping company. If things don't stack well, the shipping company's not going to like you. And for the consumer. And it should promote the brand. That's another reason for this packaging. Go into the store to buy honey toasted organic oat cereal. Well, the brand on this box, Kashi, is bigger than the area telling you what's in the box. Because Kashi has done a very good job at saying, this is who we are. We are organic. We are non-GMO certified. We are the environmentally responsible organic breakfast cereal company. So when the consumer's going down that aisle, they see Kashi, and that conveys all of that information to them. And then down at the bottom, we tell you what type of cereal it is. So you're using your packaging to convey the brand and convey information to the consumer. The other thing that package is going to have to do is contain all the legal notices that are required. Most food products are going to have to contain labeling on proteins and carbs and fats and this vitamin and that vitamin. It's going to have to contain a weight, 32 fluid ounces or 3 pounds or whatever it happens to be. If it's an article of clothing, there are a whole series of laws that require at least tags or labels about where it was made, what the fabrics are, how to wash it. That's all required by law. If you are, if you're selling something like, here's a bag of tobacco, and this tells you what the tobacco is, take a look at that legal warning. Warning, this product contains nicotine. Nicotine is an addictive chemical. Both sides of the bag, because the government requires it. So your packaging is going to have to bring all of these things together. It's going to protect your good. It's going to convey and promote your brand image and the value of this good to the consumer in a consistent way. It's going to have to be convenient for customers and retailers, and it's going to have to contain all the legal requirements. So I started this by saying, let's talk about your product. And people think of products as something very simple. Your product is much more complicated. Your product is the core product, the supplements, the experience. It's going to have a life cycle, and you've got to decide whether or not you're going to relaunch it or take it off the shelf after a while. The packaging is going to have to do a lot of work for you, and you're going to have to put a lot of work into that brand, a consistent brand image, so that everything you do, everything you say, promotes this consistent image. That's your product. So, the next couple of lessons, we'll look at the other P's, and you'll see they're just as complicated as this one was. Thank you.